All right, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right, up next, we're going to finish setting the backlash, the pinion depth, and the carrier side bearing preload. I know that's a lot to take in right now, but you need to stick around because this is going to keep you captivated like nothing you've ever seen before. All right, here's our latest pattern. We're looking at, I think I've got a shim stack over here. It's right around 110 thousandths. And I'm back to using the original shim here on the pinion housing. The primary issue was that the backlash or the ring gear movement in the last video where I had so many problems, the ring gear was way too far to the right. So we're back over this way quite a bit, and that really helped things out a lot. So on the drive side, there's our pattern, and it's towards the heel, which is not horrible, but I think, we have some room for improvement there, clearly. On the coast side, we're towards the toe, but then again, we have a pretty large pattern, so things are looking up, all in all, I will say. So right now, my backlash is on the outside of the acceptable realm. It's set at 10 thousandths. So I've got another shim pack coming in from, I believe it's USA Gear, or is it Motive Gear? I can't recall which. Coming in from Amazon here today. I've got a cheap Master Pro O'Reilly's shim set in here. They're not quite the proper size. They're a little too small. We have some correct size shims coming in, so we'll be using those from here on out. I'm just using these cheap Master Pro shims for our setup. All right, I've been messing around with various shim packages. Got one from Master Pro O'Reilly. Nothing against them. They just thought they had the right size, but the guy was a little overconfident, I thought, and in fact, it was the wrong size. It was too small. This is a what is this? Motive Gear, some brand. Model number is SK47. They're close but no cigar. The ad on the internet said these were 3.2, which I thought, aha, that's perfect. Not. They're 3.25. Actually, a smidgen more, which is slightly more than the bearing race. So that means what? The bearing cap does not fit snugly against the frame of the carrier housing. So what do we have here? Here's one of the SK47. We'll put that in the box. This is the original one that came off of the car. You see it's nice. It's cast iron, has a bevel on it, and I actually cleaned mine up a little bit. But here are three originals from GM. I actually hate to open this. Part number 1494865. This is the smallest of the bunch. And I'm going to open this one first and see what I can do with it. And these are on the large side. So I'm going to open these up and see what we can do with these. So I think if one of these doesn't work by itself, which I don't think it will, I think I could take the smaller one and then I can shim it additionally with some of these over here, and then trim off the excess to keep down the interference. You see where the I had this one installed earlier, and the bearing cap deformed it because it sticks up a little too far. So anyway, so if I had to use one of these out of this box, I could trim it off a little bit. So all right, let me sort through this and come up with a plan. All right, we've gone with the .1025 original GM made in the USA shim from eBay, combined with one of the SK47 shims, which I trimmed with the metal shears, and we got a combined thickness of 0.108. And now we have a backlash of around 8 thousandths. Goes from 40 to 48. Right in there, which is, the spec is 5 to 10, so that's spot on perfect. Now we're going to take a pattern check and see where we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to have to call this good. I rechecked my backlash after double checking the torque on my bearing caps. We're looking at 676 in 3 different spots all the way around the ring gear, which matches, guess what? The backlash we originally had. So it's supposed to be between 5 and 10. So I think, you know what? We came out pretty good there. So here's the white dot is to remind me where my marks were. And this is our contact pattern on the drive side. We are predominantly in the middle, I would say. I would say that is an exceptional in my limited time in learning how to do this. I believe that is a pretty good contact pattern on the drive side. And on the coast side, not quite as crucial, but still, again, still important. We're predominantly towards the toe, but we have a lot of coverage over towards the middle. So from my research, that is perfectly acceptable. I think the next thing I'm going to do is put my little hold down bracket right here to hold our adjuster nut in place. All right, just a quick update. We've got the axle shafts back in the car, just about to put the cover on. All right, the time has come to put some back wheels back on this old Cadillac. So we've got everything squared away. The axle's in place. We've got the drive shaft bolted up. We have the diff cover on with a new gasket. And we have 80-90 weight gear oil filled up to the brim, at least as much as we can get in there anyway. I'm going to go ahead and put some tires on this car, put it on the ground, and fire the old girl up. Well, it's always something. The old Die-Hard that was in here, the Group 27 battery that was in here since, let's see, it was in here when I bought the car in 2016, so no telling how old it was. I didn't look at the date, but it was old. And it gave up the ghost. So we went down to Advance and picked up another one. However, the negative battery cable connector here is just, it's just a mess. It's just worn out. So we've got to fix that, but I don't have time to go get a new cable. What I'm going to do for right now, just to get this car going, is put a new end on it. Hey, look at that. Super Start, made in the USA. I kind of like that. So anyway, got to clip that off right there, peel back a little insulation, and pretty much do it like I did this one over here. The connector on this cable is original to the car. It's from 71, and the connector that was on there was just, you know, was trash. So up next, we're going to saw a 1 gauge. The battery cables on this car are ridiculous. Look how big they are. Anyway, so we're going to saw that off of there and put a new connector on. Well, at last we are out and about in our old Cadillac. So this is like my 3rd test drive of the day. I've been doing it 15 to 20 miles, take the car back, let it set for, you know, about an hour or so, and let the differential basically break in a little bit. I know we didn't replace the ring and pinion gear, but we did replace the bearings, and we did a new setup on it. So I'm trying to go easy on it. We're not going to do any burnouts, and we're not going to do any hard acceleration. We're just going to tool around out here in the country and take it easy. So I did get it up on the interstate up to about 60 miles an hour. And I will say that we were successful to a degree in that the vibration that is experienced when, say, for example, going up a grade and giving it moderate throttle to stay, you know, going up the hill to, you know, to retain your speed going up the hill. In other words, you're putting a little more torque on the drivetrain. Under that circumstance, the vibration was quite pronounced. And I would say that we have probably reduced that by 50% at least, maybe even 75%. I really am having a hard time being able to quantify it, however. So definitely an improvement, though. We have definitely made very, very good progress. However, there is still some vibration here and there. I'm not sure where all it's coming from. I have noticed one over the last few months. I noticed one, you know, basically just sitting at the red light, right? And as the car is idling, you're sitting around and you're sitting there waiting for traffic to go, and every once in a while some sort of resonant frequency will set up, and all of a sudden you get a whoa, something's vibrating underneath there in the back. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the brake cable, maybe it's the bumper. This car had a little bit of an impact before I bought it. The rear bumper's got a tiny little dent in it, but it's nothing, you know, that would cause any major damage at all. But it's just a question in my mind. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start removing things from the car to see if we can dig deeper into this vibration issue. And I think up next, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bumper completely and then run around town like that and see, you know, what that does for us. One positive thing in all of this is that I have learned how to rebuild my own differential and the pinion assembly. That is a major accomplishment for me. Put another feather in my skill set hat. So I'm kind of digging that. But all in all, I would say the vibration issue at speed, at highway speed, especially under moderate load, has been significantly reduced. And so much now that I wouldn't have any issue with getting in the car and taking it on a long trip. But in all of this, I think I'm going to revisit the drive shaft. I know that a lot of people have said, yeah, check your drive shaft, check your drive shaft, check your drive shaft. Got it. I had two different shops look at the drive shaft. One shop took a look at it. They put it on their lathe or whatever they use to spin it up. They said there's nothing wrong with it. We're not going to touch it. And then another shop, the second shop I took it to, took a look at it, and they did a complete rebuild on it and did a balance on it. Said it was fine. Now, a question in my mind is, how fast did they spin it? I couldn't tell you. There is an automotive restoration business actually around this area. I think I may call them and then see who their drive shaft specialist is. They may have one in-house or they may send things off, I'm not sure. But I'd be curious to see if I took it to a third shop and have it looked at, just to make sure, you know, three opinions, you know, you're good, right? If you get three goods, then you're 100%. But if you get two goods and one go, oh man, this is not good. What were those other two thinking about when they did this? You know, you might run across something like that, right? So anyway, I'm going to take the bumper off this car. I think I'm going to take the drive shaft and take it to another shop and have it checked once again. And then also I'm going to continue rooting around underneath. I'm just going to try to remove anything that I think might be moving around when the car is headed down the road. Well, all right, here we are back again. We have finished up rebuilding the rear differential and the pinion housing in the old Coupe DeVille, and I had never done anything like that before. So that was a challenge for me. So I pieced together a few bits and pieces of video with my cell phone over the last day or two while I was putting the rear end back together. And I didn't take a whole lot of time to film with a GoPro, so sorry about that. I was just kind of anxious to get the whole thing done. And I kind of got into a groove where I finally found the correct shim stack for the side bearings to get the differential backlash just right. So once I got that under control, I was like, okay, let's get this thing back together and get it on a test drive. So that's pretty much what I've done today. I spent the first half of the day trying to get the car to actually crank, because guess what? During the past 6 weeks, the Die Hard finally died hard. That battery was in the car when I bought it in 2016, so who knows how old it is. Anyway, it was done. It wasn't having any of charging. It was not gonna do it. So had to go buy a new battery and had to repair one of the connectors on the ground cable. And got that all squared away, got good juice, and she fires immediately, cranks just fine, runs just fine. I took 3 test drives today, just sort of a break-in period, really not required, I don't think, if you're not replacing the ring and pinion. I think the general consensus on if you were rebuilding a differential and you're replacing the ring and pinion gears, then you're going to do some break-in period. You'll go 15 to 20 miles at moderately low speeds, and then just let it sit and let it cool off. Crank her up, do that again, do that 3 or 4 times. That's your break-in period. And then after that, for the first 500 miles, you're just, just take it easy. Just drive very gently. And then at the end of the 500 miles, replace the rear differential fluid. All very good advice. And I think over the next couple of weeks, I'll try to do that. So where do we stand? We have a definite improvement in the vibration at highway speeds. Is it fixed altogether? No, it is not. That by no means. I would say the vibration under moderate throttle, especially going up a grade, has probably been reduced by, say, 50%. It's a definite improvement, but we still have a fair ways to go. So there are a few things that are popping into my head now that I've thought about this quite a bit. Sitting at idle at a red light, there's some kind of a weird vibration in the back, on the frame, the body. Not sure where that's coming from. You just, you sit at a red light and there's something in the back going, every once in a while they go wah, wah, something sets up a resonant frequency and it starts to vibrate, perks your attention, and you're like, what is that? So some kind of panel or something is not acting quite right at idle at the red light. Now, how does it act at speed? I don't know. We're going to find out though. So one of the things I've been wanting to do for quite some time, the rear bumper actually has a little dent in it. It's like a grocery store ding. It's a pretty sizable one, but it's not, a game changer or anything. It's just a minor annoyance. So for the longest time, I've been thinking, I've got to get that bumper off there and tap that out. It's just bugging the heck out of me. So part of my thinking process is, what if that impact, bumped up against something and there's a vibration there at certain frequencies? Who knows? That's something to look at. But I definitely want to remove the rear bumper and probably the side skirts on the wheels as well, and then run down the road and just see what it sounds like. That's an action plan I want to put into place. That's something I'm going to take care of. The drive shaft has been looked at by 2 different shops. I'm going to take it to a third. Don't know who the third is, but I'm going to call a local classic car restoration place and find out if they do it, and if not, who they send theirs off to. I'm going to remove the drive shaft and I'm going to take it to a third shop and have it looked at yet once again. The other thing I want to take a look at next is the pinion flange. On the pinion housing, you have the pinion flange where the pinion nut is bolted through. Now the pinion flange connects to the end of the universal joint on the drive shaft. Now if the pinion flange, there's a spec for the run out on the pinion flange. I don't know what, it's in the book. I don't know, 2 or 3, 4,000, something like that. It's not much. I did not check it. Well, why didn't you check it? Because I don't have one. And you can't buy one aftermarket. You've got to go rummage through a junkyard to go find a pinion flange if yours is bent. Now, if mine is bent and it's making the drive shaft wobble a little bit, by golly, that could be an issue. So, and this is just something that came into my brain the last couple of days. Well, you can't find a pinion flange without jumping through the junkyard. Why don't you just take your pinion flange over to your machine shop that cuts your bearing spacer for you and have them check it, and if it's a little off, we'll have it trued up on the lathe, and I think that's a good plan as well. So we got the pinion flange we're going to check. We're going to true that up on a lathe if we need to. I'm going to take the drive shaft out and send it to another shop and have them verify it a third time, and I'm going to start taking stuff off of the back of this car. All the vibrations that bug me are going to end. All right, folks, I think that's all for this video. Sorry, but it was a little bit disjointed and not well put together, but this whole thing just started coming together right here at the end, and I just started working and kept working and kept working and kept working, and boom, before you know it, the car was on the ground and I was driving. So there you go. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel, though. I really do appreciate you. I really just thank you. Thank you for taking time to watch me fumble my way through these classic car projects. And you guys that watch my channel when no one else does, remember, you're on the most popular, least watched automotive enthusiast channel on YouTube. And I really appreciate you stopping by and being dedicated to all of these little projects around here. All right, folks, that's all for now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy driving, maintaining, restoring, and caring for your classic Cadillac.